Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well amid the crazy news cycle. As a little bit of a distraction, I want to update you on some new translation functions with LipiSource. It's become kind of a little bit of a personal pet project. And so remember those days in the 2000s and 2010s, when Google Translate came out and everyone started using it, and then they realized that the translations really weren't that great, especially for scholars or for sort of, languages that required more expertise. Well, those days are completely gone because what has happened in the last few years has not made translation perfect by any means, since that's not possible and it can be subjective, right? We can critique translation, but it has made it a lot better. And so what I want to share with you are some new sort of features with LipiSource that create a kind of council of experts. So it's not just typing in, the text that you want to be translated into a box and then having it, come out based on whatever ChatGPT or Gemini thinks it might be. This is actually creating a council of experts for each languages, each language who are trained in lexicography, syntax, paleography, prosody, all these kinds of features of what makes a language, and then they convene in real time in the translation to make it better. And again, I envision this not as a replacement for scholarly expertise or for anyone who is, really invested in quality of translations, which can take, as anyone knows who has translated complex material, it takes a lifetime to really master. But what it can do is give you a useful draft to work from, and then, enable you to also understand, vast amounts of commentarial literature, let's say, based on a translation that you would never have time to translate or wade through otherwise, right? And this can help kind of, digest and, help supplement information from a wide variety of sources rather than sort of, forcing you to be, limited to just, the languages that you know. And so I'll give you an example of this right now. So with LipiSource here, as you can see, what you have is this screen here. Let's, give you an example. You can, upload an image, as I already showed you in previous iterations, but you can also upload PDFs, as I've told you as well. So, let's do Bangla here. You can do other languages, but let's just do this as an example. So this is the Jog Kalendar, a yoga calendar, a Middle Bengali text that I worked on for my MA thesis. So I know it well, right? I had to translate it and, engage versions in Bangla and French for that translation. So, here's a PDF of one page just to make it go faster. You go here, auto detect, all of these things. Process the document. Let's see what happens, okay? So it processes, and then what you'll see soon is in this input text box, it has OCR'd or read the characters of the script on that PDF page, which, used to be something very special. It's not that special now. Almost any of the major, AI models can do it. But here you have the sort of OCR here, nicely preserved in this input box, and then you can edit it, you can change the font and so on, right, to make it more viewable, and that you can't easily do in the chat bots and so on. But you go here, you can either save that text to your library for further analysis, and I'll show you that in a second, or you can click go. So what happens if you click go? Okay. It's pretty much free, the amounts of tokens. I mean, you get 1,000 free tokens just for starting the site. And so, if anyone needs more tokens and finds a use, then tell me. I'm happy to give them to you for free. I'm not trying to profit off of this app. I'm only trying to sort of make it something that is worthwhile, at least, that I get what I put into it. So here's the transliterated output that's going to come up here. You have, okay, these transliterations that I've showed you that you can change. But then if you scroll down here, you have the translation. Now, what is this translation going to be like? Well, you can notice these little badges here that say council. Well, these are languages that I have programmed with a LipiSource AI council, meaning between 8 or 10 AI personas that work together to translate this language. And what this is participating in is a feature of AI model training called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And what this means is that it's actually sort of, using sources on the back end to then inform the AI output, rather than it just sort of, pulling at everything and then, hallucinating and making errors. What this does is it grounds the AI model in expert level material and texts and kind of forces it to only use that material rather than kind of pull other things. And so again, it's a work in progress. You might still see some hallucinations in these personas, but what I'm eventually trying to do is sort of, program it with as much knowledge as possible based on what is publicly available and open source in terms of, research materials. And then these council members are then pulling from that, and they're negotiating based on the two languages that are being translated between. So in this case, you have Bangla and English. That means there's an English council that I've programmed, and then there's a Bangla council, and they are coming together and they are producing this translation in real time. And so what you have here is this yogic calendar. First, I bow to the Lord, the pure and unblemished one, Niranjana. Following that, I bow to the feet of the Prophet, Nobi, Korim, Rohim, Allah, the Cherisher. Okay? And you can see, based on the Bangla, it's really not so bad. Protame pronama kori prabhu niranjana, tara patse pronami e nobiro chorono. Pronouncing the inherent vowel like it is in Middle Bangla. So, okay, here you have the translation, but just the translation, that's not good enough for scholars, right? We want to know how the translator arrived at these words. How did it happen? Well, you go back down here to these translation notes, and you can see that here they are actually negotiating, and you can see their thought process and either agree or disagree, right? As human beings, we are going to be, superior to, an artificial intelligence, and we can decide what translations, we like and dislike. And having that power can be really, important to preserve as scholars in a world in which, more and more agencies kind of being taken away from humans. It kind of shows the importance of humanities scholars in, preserving that expertise. So here we have the, Niranjana. It says the Bengali lexicographer actually sort of, is, being informed by this term. The English hermeneutist is also, using a typology of divine names, to help with the translation. Here you have, what's another example? You have an English hermeneutist here, interpreting it in a certain way. And then you have the Bengali lexicographer, using Perso-Arabic loanwords to help them translate zikr, which is from an Arabic word for, repetition and recitation. And then, it goes on and on and on. And so this is general in terms of the notes, but let's say you want more from your translation. Then in that case, what you want to do is go back up here, and where it says upload PDF, what you want to do here is click save to library. So here you have the Bangla, okay, you save it to your library, input save to library. You go back up here, and for, even guests, they have a library, but if you log in, you can save all of these documents to your library. And so here you'll see this Jog Calendar here right away as a little card here. So you can click view and you can see it. You can, as I showed you before, you can, look up each of these words individually and kind of understand what they might be. And, some some possible translations. Of course, it's not going to be exact, but you can go down to the actual dictionaries and confirm them in many cases. But what I want to call your attention to here is this button here, Translate. So if you click Translate, you'll see that I've created a window here where you can do the source language. Now this is predetermined as Bangla, but depending on what language your text is in, Sanskrit, Hindi, Tamil, I'm adding many others, so you'll see them already. You can then choose your target language based on these and based on the languages that I have councils programmed. And that includes French and German as well so far. And then you can choose your historical period, and this is also going to be language specific and is going to help the expert council kind of steer the translation in a way. So we know this is middle Bangla, so let's do this one here, medieval. And then you can use this little scale here to sort of, say, do you want basically as many terms translated as possible, like, almost nothing left in its original form, in the transliterated form, or do you want to kind of preserve the original as much as possible and only translate the English, syntax or the syntax into the language that you're translating into, like English or whatever have you. And these are all things that I am actively tweaking, so sorry if there are any kind of glitches in these, but it's something that's, an interesting way to structure the translation. And then you have this council here, and in the council, you can see that you can choose which of these council members for each language that you want to sort of inform the translation. A semanticist, lexicographer, morphologist, and then you have these kind of more specialized experts, phonetician, prosodist, hermeneuticist. Let's just do them all for the sake of this example. And, depending on how long your document is, it will be very long, but let's just try here. So you do translate document here, and let's see what will happen. So it's assembling the expert knowledge, translating this single part of the text. Okay, so now the translation is complete, and what you can do is either download it or you can click Save to Library. You'll notice it takes a long time with this process, so just be patient with it. But once it loads, you click Save to Library. Okay, so now it's saved. You go back to your library, do a little, refresh if it's not showing up right away. And there you go. You see the English translation here. So you can click View. You can also translate it further. You can talk to it, and these are features that I'm, still working with. But let's do View for now. And here you have your translation. And so, it's not going to be, great yet, but it's a start. Okay, so just to show you how that council is working, on the back end, what I've been doing is programming these sort of references here. And you can see the council here. You have these sources, etymological and semantic lexicon, morphology, syntax, prosody, and so on, paleography for reading the scripts, and so on. And for each sort of council member that I have programmed so far, you can see that there is a sort of, archetype that, a persona is embodying, and then their kind of cognitive mode and methodology and sort of how they are sort of, attuned, and then also this deep knowledge base. So, are they pulling from the Bongia Shabdakosh, or the Omar Kosh? Are they pulling from Rabindranath Tagore's semantic innovations? In what way? So this is the Bangla semantics persona. And you can see that, they're programmed as you are the weaver of meanings. Your sole purpose is to map the relational web of the Bengali language. You do not define words in isolation, you define them by their connections. You trace the lineage of concepts distinguishing between the Sanskritized Tatsama aesthetic and the earthy Deshi or Perso-Arabic Musulmani Bangla traditions. So, this basically attunes that particular persona And then once you have each sort of persona kind of, in this alignment, then when you do a translation, they are kind of converging, right? As the translation takes place. And, it depends on your language. So if you did Bangla to English, then you would have the separate English council that then is helping with the translation. So you can see it here. I've programmed, English, for example, right, in really interesting ways. And then let's say you're translating Bangla to French, then French has its own council too, right, based on the origins of that language, or, German. So, you can translate between between languages that way in this kind of council format. And what it does is it kind of takes back the process of translation to an earlier time when, people would sit in a room and discuss words and meanings. And while that still happens at, the academic level in conference rooms and, specialized translation sort of gatherings, it's not so common, and it's difficult to sort of, access that as a member of the public as well, to access that kind of expertise. So this is not, a replacement for specialized translation, but I think what it does is allow for one kind of layer up in terms of what is possible now with, the use of some of these tools. So I hope that can be useful. In the future, what I am doing, and this will be, I guess, the next video for you all as a sneak preview, what I've been starting to do is make this available to manuscripts to read them and then offer the translations that way. And what that sort of requires is, giving a ground truth, code of what the manuscript line is, and then, being able to translate that according to, paleography and methods like that. So stay tuned for the next video, but I thought I would give you this update just to sort of, give you a chance to try it out. So thanks for watching.